Hello and welcome to part 1 of the answers to the Q&A. So it's part 1 because I've split them into two separate sections. This first section is Battlefield related questions. So it includes Hardline as well, but it's mainly Battlefield 4. I've also grouped together similar questions. Not going to read out the names because that's going to take too long, and I'm not going to read out the whole questions, just go through the gist of them. So these first two questions are basically, is it worth buying premium? Well, yes, it is. It does cost a lot of money if it's not on sale. Usually I'd say wait till it's on sale, but even if you spend the full price on it, you're getting 37 new weapons and gadgets to unlock, and you're getting 21 new maps, I think it is. So yeah, premium is worth it. The other advantage with premium, of course, is that you've got access to a larger player base because you can play with all the vanilla players and all the premium players. So I would recommend buying premium if you don't already own the DLCs. Next question is, do you think the Phantom assignments are actually worth it to get the bow? The bow is a pretty poor weapon, but it is quite fun to use. The Phantom assignments themselves, although they are grindy, as in there's a lot of kills to get, there's a lot of things to do, they are quite fun. Going back and doing them now, you are missing out on the fun of the community trying to work out how to unlock that console and get access to the Phantom assignments, but they are still quite fun. Next question, what do you hope for Battlefield 5? Really, I don't want any fundamental changes away from the gameplay of Battlefield 4. Maybe a different setting, better graphics, more users on the consoles, more destruction than Battlefield 4. But we've now spent so long getting Battlefield 4 tuned and right, I think that essentially Battlefield 5 should be what Battlefield 4 is now, just upgraded in certain areas. The things I would change in Battlefield 5 is I'd get rid of Commander Mode. I don't think it works very well. It's always been unbalanced because you can have only one commander playing, and the addition of things like cruise missiles and a gunship means the commander just has too much effect on the battlefield. I'd also like to get rid of Battle Log. Never liked this online browser based server browsing, but it's probably not going to disappear. So ideally for Battlefield 5, I'd like to see Battlefield 4 with a different setting, different guns and just a different feel. That would work for me. Next question is, what do you think about having the SOC Hyphen R on the community map? If you don't know what it is, the SOC Hyphen R is a river patrol boat used by the US Navy. It is a bit too modern, I think, for the feel they're going for on that map. I think what we're going to get is rib boats. What I'd really like to see is rib boats without the gun on. That wouldn't take an awful lot of development. Putting the SOCR in would take an awful lot of development, building a new vehicle, when really all they're doing is designing a new map. Next question, and I'm just going to answer the top part of this. Do you think they should bring in the Arma 3 style medic? No. Arma 3 is a military sim. Battlefield 4 is a cross between a first person shooter and a military sim. It's not Call of Duty, it's not Arma, it's Battlefield. The defibs work fine, I think. It's not a great mechanic, but it's a mechanic that works well enough. The second part of that question I'm also going to mix in with these ones. So my favourite map is Strike at Karkand, but it's not coming back. I think maybe No Share Canals should come back, something like that. Don't really know what maps they are going to bring back, but maybe Sane Crossing would be good. Next we move on to what is my favourite gun, what is the first gun that I mastered, and what is the best gun in Battlefield 4. So the first gun that I got the mastery dog tag for, I think, was the M249. It might have been the M416, I'm not sure. The M416 is probably my favourite gun in Battlefield 4. Is it the best gun? There's an argument to say the Ace 23 is better, but they're pretty much similar. So M416 would be the answer to all three of those for me. To be honest, I haven't mastered that many guns, so I've mastered the AK-5C, the AWS, the SRR-61 and the SRAW. I tend to stick to the same loadout when I'm playing Battlefield 4 unless I'm going for an assignment. Otherwise, I stick to the same guns pretty much all the time. My least favourite gun, well, pick any of the shotguns, they're pretty much useless in Battlefield 4. Right, so these next questions are all about Battlefield 4 versus Hardline. What makes Battlefield 4 better than Hardline? What did Hardline do better than Battlefield 4? That kind of thing. So, the only thing that Hardline did better than Battlefield 4 is its commander mode, because it's not lethal. You can't really kill the players. Somebody sitting on a tablet in a cafe somewhere shouldn't really be able to kill players that are actually in the game. The other flavour of question here is, how do you save Hardline? Well, Hardline doesn't need saving. We just got to face it, Hardline is a console game, Battlefield 4 is a PC game. If we look at it that way, then they're both successful. Trying to save Hardline on PC, I don't think is going to work, because it's just not as good as Battlefield 4 is when you're playing it on PC. And there's a question asking, do I think finalising the community map is going to move more players over to Hardline? Well, no. DICE are producing content all the way through this year for Battlefield 4 for one reason. They want to keep their player base, keep their testing base for when Battlefront comes out. What DICE LA are doing with the improvements and the development on CTE is building up the Frostbite engine for Battlefront. The new netcode is going to appear on Battlefront. It's probably not going to appear on Hardline. Hardline's getting its own version of CTE, but Hardline is still lumbered with the old generation consoles. Battlefront isn't. So I think this 60Hz and 120Hz netcode is being aimed squarely at Battlefront. It's nice we're getting it on Battlefield 4, but that's not what they're developing it for. And to keep those CTE playtesters happy and occupied, they're bringing out new maps and new weapons and new challenges. That's what all this development for maps and things is for, it's to keep CTE running. So the next questions are all aimed around future Battlefield 4 development. So the first one is, when is the next Battlefield 4 content coming? Well, we know that's the 26th of May. That is when the next patch is arriving. That's going to have Gunmaster and the new weapons in it. As for the night map, I reckon that will come sometime towards the end of July. It's going to come the night maps and the community map project. A couple of months after that, we'll probably get the re-released maps. So that's the older maps brought back into Battlefield 4. Do I think the CTE version for consoles is a good idea? Well, it's not a bad idea, and yes, it's going to help Battlefront out. It's only coming on the new gen consoles, but to be honest, the console version of Battlefield 4 has been dragging the PC version down for quite long enough. So anything to improve the console version is a good idea. The next couple of questions: am I going to play with subs? Am I going to stream on Twitch? Now, I've mentioned this before, I am not a good Battlefield 4 player. I have a horrible kill-death ratio, I am not very skillful. That's why I stick to the same guns over and over again, and it's why I tend not to do gameplay that's unedited. I have to edit a lot of gameplay down to get anything that resembles a good video. I would imagine that half of you watching these videos are actually better at playing Battlefield 4 than I am. That's why I do factual videos. I don't go for entertainment on my gameplay skills because I just don't have any. The next question covers, what optical setup do I use in Battlefield 4? Well, I can't really go through and explain it all, so what I'll do is I'll take some screenshots of my setup on screen and then I'll link them in the description for this video. But basically I do everything I can to make it easier for me to see. So my minimap is at 200%, my red dots are actually green, my kill marker is red, my headshot indicator is orange, I have my reticles at 120, or is it 140%, one of those two. But basically everything's just slightly bigger, slightly brighter, slightly clearer for me to see. Right, so those are all the questions that were submitted for Battlefield 4 and Hardline. I'm going to do a second video that's going to cover all the personal questions and non-Battlefield related questions. So that should be out in the next couple of days. Thanks for watching.